Welcome everybody, I am 6am Comics, and this is Reviewing My 9-Year-Old's Comics. Last week we took a look at issue 1 of a comic series many thought would never happen in a million years. A collaboration between Nolan and his big brother / former editor, Milo, titled Super Nolan and Super Milo Stickman Stories. This week, naturally, we'll be taking a look at the second and final issue published before the siblings' inevitable falling out. So join me as we take a look at Super Nolan and Super Milo Stickman Stories, issue number 2, the Seceret of Superpup. Let's dig in. Just at a glance, you can already see a change in presentation. The obvious being the lack of color. Well, except for some slight splashes of red at the bottom, which give a sense that right from the get-go, there was perhaps some tension between the two brothers. Both creators had given themselves the title of king. However, we see Milo's kingship has been scribbled out, and where it once said authors of glorious stories, the S has been X'd out, implying there is only one author remaining. Based on Milo's royalty being removed, I think it's safe to say who terminated this business relationship. But that's not to say the quality of this particular work is lacking. Au contraire. What this issue lacks in color, it makes up for in quantity. If you recall, issue number 1 was a whopping 2 pages long. This particular issue is 9 pages, and despite there not being any color, the artwork is as detailed as ever, providing that signature, overly detailed stickman design which made the first book so popular. We also have an opportunity to see Milo really flex his writing skills with a more fleshed out story and some interesting world building. And to answer the question of if this comic will continue the meta commentary established in issue number 1 or pursue a more streamlined adventure tale, well, how about we see for ourselves and give it a read. We pick up where we left off in the last issue, with Milo and Nolan being sucked through the mysterious portal, which Milo had opened up while he was sleeping the night before. As the brothers are tossed around in this new dimension, they bonk heads and immediately fall to the ground. Where are we? As the two brothers look upon the landscape before them, we're given a narration box telling us exactly where the brothers have landed. Comic book world. Nolan makes an interesting observation, that he, the subject of this comic book, can see the comic book letters floating above him. As he analyzes the situation, Milo discovers that they're standing before a massive sea of lava, separating them from any civilization where they can look for help. Both brothers panic. How can we get across? They ponder for a moment, before proceeding to make the least intelligent decision possible and cross the lava by foot. Ow! 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 They make it to the other side, feet burning. We know they made it safely across because we're given some more narration that the brothers can see as well, which tells us they made it across. As their feet continue to burn from the fire, Milo uses his manifestation ability to conjure up a fire extinguisher and proceeds to put out the fires consuming their feet. However, he playfully extinguishes a little more than the fire and douses his brother from head to toe in the extinguishing gases. Kids, please don't ever do this in real life. Also, I would highly recommend not sticking your feet in actual lava, should the opportunity ever arise. Milo and Nolan see more letters providing narration, and grow frustrated by all the letters. That's enough letters! Before them lies a gauntlet, blocking the way to their destination. A giant stone fist slamming on the ground, and a chain dangling some very painful looking energy. And so, the brothers take on the challenge before them, experiencing pain that only superpowered individuals could withstand. And on the other side, they arrive at their destination. A boss battle! Before they can process what's happening, a massive dragon chomps down on Nolan's head. Without hesitation, Milo punches the dragon, causing it to release its bite on his brother. Phew! Thanks! Nolan shows his gratitude as he sniffs in some blood. The brothers prepare to battle this beast to the death, when suddenly... Huh? An incredibly fast-moving fireball carries the brothers away from danger. Nice service! The mysterious fireball reveals itself. Yo! I'm Superpup! While Nolan seems happy to see the canine hero, Milo is seemingly enraged and maniacally laughs as he manifests a vacuum cleaner to test the superness of this strange animal. As he suspected, the dog is immediately frightened by the sight of this device and screams. He runs off, yipping the whole time. Milo, feeling he has achieved victory, declares, "Victory is mine!" Nolan, enraged by the actions of his brother, runs after the dog, leaving Milo confused. To be continued. Despite the insinuation of a third comic, one was never created, and I suspect it never will be. But there is plenty to unpack here. Let's begin with the most obvious observation. What happened to Nolan's powers? From the moment the two brothers arrive in comic book world, we see neither Nolan's ability to fly, nor do we see his laser eyes in action, making my previous video where I implied that only his flight was removed from his power set incorrect. He in fact has no powers at all, rendering him all but useless throughout both books in this series. Now, the lack of laser eyes perhaps could have been a result of Super Milo blasting Super Nolan in the face with a fire extinguisher, or maybe some trauma induced by the dragon biting down on his head. Perhaps the giant fist landing on his back had something to do with it. Whatever the cause, Super Nolan may as well have just been named plain old Nolan, because for all intents and purposes, he is anything but super in this issue. Intents and purposes. Let's talk about intent, because the more I read through this book, the more clear this entire situation becomes. In issue 1, it was believed that there was a subtle act of sibling rivalry being played out in the book's story. The book opens with a superpowered Nolan blasting a pizza out of Milo's hands before he can enjoy it. Following this, Milo subconsciously opens a portal in his sleep, and from this moment forward, Super Nolan is rendered powerless. In fact, he's unconscious for the remainder of the book, right up until the moment he gets sucked into the portal with his brother. Following this event, both brothers find themselves stranded in a comic book themed universe, where only Milo has any power, and Nolan is forced to rely on his brother for survival. Why else couldn't Nolan fly he and his brother over the sea of lava? Why couldn't he laser his way out of the dragon's mouth? Or fly around the gauntlet? Heck, why didn't he just use his laser eyes to destroy the gauntlet entirely? Now that I think about it, why did Milo suddenly make the ultimate heel turn when he manifested a dog's worst nightmare, aka a vacuum cleaner, on the only other superpowered being, only moments after that super being saved him from certain death at the hands of a dragon? He actually seemed happy to see the dog right until the moment it declared itself Superpup. Could it be that this entire series was nothing more than a ploy for Milo to act out his revenge on Nolan for all those times he was fired as editor? I think the story taking place in comic book world is everything we need to know. Nolan's superpowered tyranny in issue 1 is symbolic of his tyranny as a comic book mogul in real life. Milo's subconscious manifestation of a portal into comic book world, and he and his brothers subsequently being sucked into that world together, is representative of their venture into this new comic book series. Being the writer, he holds all the power. He is the storyteller, and although he is forbidden to make edits, a minor frustration subtly hinted at when his character complains about all the poorly written letters on the pages, he still has the authority over what happens from panel to panel. And what we see happen is an onslaught of bad luck against his brother Nolan. Nolan is powerless, forced to walk on lava, is blasted in the face with a fire extinguisher, pummeled by a giant stone fist, bitten in the head by a dragon, and bleeds from his nose. And the one time anything in the comic book land gives him joy, i.e. the emergence of Superpup, Milo abuses his power to scare the friendly pup off. There's no telling what direction a third issue would have taken. Would Nolan and Superpup's luck have gotten worse? Or would things have made a turn for the better? Given that Milo's actions are intentionally portrayed as villainous during this issue, would imply that there was a sense of self-awareness, an admittance of wrongdoing on the part of Super Milo. It shows that while the mischievous actions within the comic book may be justified given the real-life relationship between these two brothers, it doesn't mean that these actions are necessarily vindicated in the fictional world that their comic book counterparts exist in. Perhaps had a third issue been greenlit, it would have given a satisfying conclusion for all three characters. One where Super Milo realizes how his vindictive actions impacted his family, Superpup included, as it strongly suggested that Superpup is the same dog seen sleeping in the bed with Super Milo in the first issue. Maybe he would have discovered the identity of the innocent dog and realized the error of his ways. Perhaps Super Nolan would have seen how his actions with the pizza drove his brother to subconsciously create a world where he has all the power and uses it to hurt the ones closest to him. All concluding in one final battle with the dragon, which would see all three of our heroes uniting, fully powered to overcome their foe and return home with a bond even stronger than before. Sadly, we'll never know. While there's never been an official statement from either of the brothers regarding the abrupt cancellation of the series, rumor has it that Nolan solely began understanding that Milo was intentionally handicapping his character, and in a fit of rage scribbled out Milo's king title from the book, removed the plural form of authors, and quit the project to pursue other ventures. Since then, the brothers went their separate ways. Milo went on to have success with Mark Man 3A, 3B, 4, and the graphic novel, while Nolan pursued other franchises such as Spectacular Black Widow and Red Recluse. However, Super Nolan and Super Milo Stickman stories was discontinued, and there's little chance we'll ever know how it could have ended. Alright. And there you have it, the final issue of Super Nolan and Super Milo Stickman stories. Now, despite the turmoil that surrounded this series, Milo and Nolan have since made their peace, going so far as to even collaborate again when Nolan agreed to outsource two of his intellectual properties to Milo, which resulted in Red Recluse #2 and an unofficial Scorpion sequel. And if that isn't a show of resolution between the two brothers, Milo even allowed one of his own creations to be outsourced to Nolan for a crossover issue of Super Nolan. Needless to say, we've got a lot of comics to go through still, so keep tuning in every Monday for my reviews. And on a side note, I just want to say I appreciate everybody who's subbed to this embarrassingly humble channel. I love reading your comments, and I love seeing just how invested you all get in my kids' comics. It really brings me a lot of joy. I don't know, it's just at the end of the day, we need to encourage our children's creative outlets, no matter how silly or even incoherent they may be at times, because the more you encourage them and praise their work, the more they're going to want to do it, and the more they do it, the better they're going to get, and the better they get, someday they'll be successful creatives themselves, hopefully doing the same thing for their own kids. So yeah, love your kids, love their art, and oh yeah, I gotta give this comic a rating. I'm gonna give each of the brothers half a star. If they want the full star, they're gonna have to get along and join them together. All right, I'm out.